Well, it's a big welcome to a brief chat with Ben. Ben Casey. Ben Casey.
Hello.
Now, where are you? Where's that beautiful seat you got, and where's that haircut that you've had? But where is it, Ben?
In Derbyshire. Lovely,
beautiful
lovely Derbyshire. Yes.
Yeah, but which bit? Because it's my favourite town in Derbyshire. So tell me.
Matlock in Derbyshire.
How
Matlock.
lovely.
It's a beautiful. We have many happy memories. We stayed in Matlock not long ago, actually, just for a break, and went down into the park and had an ice cream. Oh yeah, had a meal and everything. It's in the days, Ben, when we used to go out. Do you remember
Yes.
those days?
Oh, struggling now.
I know. Ben, how's it been for you in lockdown?
It's not been too bad. It could be worse. It could be definitely a lot worse. But yeah, it's been interesting. It definitely has been interesting. Trying to keep myself entertained, being in almost like four walls kind of thing. Not really going out. So yeah,
Living at home with your cat, your dog, and your
oh yes, the whole zoo. Yeah.
Ben, tell us what you would be doing if it wasn't lockdown.
So yeah, if it wasn't lockdown, my job, I'd be going out and teaching space, talking about all this stuff that I have behind me. I go round to really wherever is booked, but normally it's like primary schools, things like that, and inflate a big mobile planetarium, essentially. It's just like a big tent kind of thing. And talk about space. That's what I do for my job. I love it. I absolutely love it.
What was your training then? What was your degree in?
Well, at university, I went and did observational astronomy. That was my course.
Observational astronomy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very posh. Can I just say we're very. This is the first time we've had an observational astronomer in our book. And I tell you, you're not an astrologer then.
No, not star signs
joking.
and things like that.
So what did that mean you studied?
So the thing about my course is that it's very different to sort of like an astrophysics course, for example, or something of that nature, because with those courses, it tends to be sort of, here's a bunch of numbers, go and calculate and there's a right and a wrong answer. Whereas with my course, it was more of a case of essentially teaching me to be an actual astronomer, teaching me how to use a telescope correctly, how to set it up and things like that. And how, as well as a bit of a bonus of my course, it was also like how to communicate science, how to teach what I know,
yes,
and how to use the equipment and things like that to other people. So essentially what I do as my job now in the mobile planetarium, I actually did that at university, essentially, for 3 years.
So is this something that really fascinated you as you were growing up, or did you just sort of trip over it by accident?
Oh, yeah. No, I've always been interested in science and space ever since I was really, really little. Every like Friday, I remember like in year 2, everybody would have like a show and tell kind of thing. And on Friday, it'd be, Ben's doing his presentations about space again, teaching us all about space and everything. I think everybody got sick and tired of it, to be honest, but I didn't. I certainly didn't.
You just loved the whole thing.
Oh, yes.
Ben, that's why we got you on, because you're passionate about it. And many of you don't know, Ben is one of the tech team. So there's Rachel, there's Claire, and there's Ben. And two of them live in Barrow and one lives in Derbyshire. But they help to run this show and have done for... Well, what week did you join us? I can't remember, Ben.
Neither can I, to be honest.
Fairly early on,
wasn't it? It's been so long.
Yeah.
Not too early on. It was relatively...
Within 10 shows or something.
Yeah, it was something like that, yeah.
So you've been with us for about 32 shows now. So,
Oh, yeah.
What we're going to do is, I think what we'll do is we're going to have we've got loads of questions that people have sent in over the week.
Okay.
And things that I want to know, like astronauts, how do they go to the toilet? That kind of thing. I've always I know. It's just the kind of when
it is
I always
interesting. Oh yeah,
it is. They are. I'm fascinated.
It's one of the things that no matter what question and answer session, you always run the risk of that. Usually, year 5s and 6s, they are relatively well behaved, and then so like year 4 and below, you can guarantee one of them is probably going to say, "Sir, how do you go to the toilet in space?"
Yeah, so that sort of puts Jonathan
me
at
at
about
level 4,
year 4.
year 4 or 5. It does, and it's the question I've always wanted to ask an astronomer. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have, I think, a little break.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to sing our theme song, which is appropriately. This week is appropriately space themed. It's good. You've got a friend in space.
Yes.
Okay.
To the tune of Star Trek.
Star Trek. You've got a friend in space. In space. And there's one other question. Is Captain Kirk still alive? I just need to know. These are the questions that burn within us. And afterwards, that you and I, we discuss it, don't we?
Oh, yes. Yes. Now, to avoid any spoilers, I would watch the film Generations and you will find out.
Yes.
Stop it. All right, let's just sing the song and then we'll come back to you with some really interesting questions. It's lovely to have you, Ben.
No worries.
Well, here we are, back in space with Ben... The spaceman Casey, and I have no idea whether you see. I love the pictures behind him. You see all those pictures that he's got, and are you gonna change them during the?
I can certainly change them. Yeah.
Yeah, just give us a different. What have we got? What have we got behind us?
The beautiful moon. The beautiful moon.
Beautiful moon. Look at that.
We'll try going that way. In fact, I actually took this photo.
No.
Yeah.
You're joking.
I actually took this photo. Yeah.
That is so brilliant. That is all right. Okay, we need to get on with the questions, though. It's brilliant.
We do.
And just change the photo and tell us what you're doing.
Okay.
Sue's going to ask the question.
Okay,
She's the
so
trained scientist. I'm not. I'm just a muso. Okay.
You can also read questions.
All right.
Joyce White asked if all the stars and planets and galaxies and universes were joined up, would they make a solid something?
Well, yes, they would actually. They would definitely create something. If they were all in the same place, it'd be like a gargantuan black hole, one of the largest that we've even larger than ones we've ever discovered before. So sort of things like this. Nice, lovely picture.
A black hole.
So, yes, a black hole.
Wow,
Yes,
that's beautiful.
Black hole?
Gosh,
now
that's
this
amazing.
is a cartoon picture of a black hole.
Oh, boom.
But
One you didn't take. Okay.
no, I didn't take it. But I believe it was last year, we actually, for the very first time, got a picture of a black hole. And this is what it looks like.
Wow.
So that was, to put it in context, that's where Star Trek lost its first ship. I don't want to kind of keep going.
Stop it.
So, go on.
No,
So you were saying, but it can form a whole.
If they're all in the same place, it would definitely make a massive black hole or something like that. Because you've got a lot of stuff in a really small space, essentially. But the actual structure of the universe, with all the galaxies and things, they're actually joined anyway by gravity. And the whole structure, if you could zoom out as far as you could go, the whole structure of the universe, it is like a web. It almost looks like a brain cell, actually, in space. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of that. But they look very similar, which is kind of strange. Really, really kind of strange. We don't quite know why.
Wow.
Go on, Sue. There are loads of questions.
Okay, loads of questions. So, do you think there will ever be a time when humans establish life on another planet? This was from Moira Sherlock.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely they will. In fact, within the next 10 years or so, we're hoping by about 2035, give or take, to put the very first human beings on Mars. And then after that, with research on Mars, so there should be hopefully a colony created on Mars eventually. And then hopefully going to other places as well in our solar system. Maybe
So that
around
as a
other
launching
stars,
point,
so.
you mean you're talking about
Yeah.
using Mars as a launching point further into the
Oh, yeah.
solar system?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of linked with that, Rob Barron was saying, what's the point in sort of trying to locate stars sort of beyond? Is it not better to sort of do the research on something a bit closer? Deep space seems a bit pointless, he reckons. What do you think, Ben?
Is not.
Says.
It's talking to a spaceman. It's all absolutely fabulous. They're looking out into space on the galaxy here, the Milky Way. Around all of these stars, we have sort of calculated that there should be at least one planet for every star. And if there's life around on those planets, that would be absolutely incredible. The question is, though, whether that life is intelligent like us or not.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that we're looking for.
Well, yeah, and that's a question. That's questionable, isn't it? Intelligent like us, or or more intelligent.
Some
than
of us.
us.
Some of us. Yeah.
Yes. or you're talking about things like signs that there was life, so
Exactly,
water droplets on Mars or something like that.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's answering that question: are we alone? Because there's two answers. It's either yes or a no. If it's no, that's really, really remarkable, because then we have an alien civilization that we can talk to, hopefully. We can get answers, we could even maybe get technology, that kind of thing. It'd be really, really interesting to see their point of view in this whole grand scheme of things that we're a part of. But then there's the flip side of that. We are alone. And that raises some very interesting questions as well. Because if we are alone, what makes the Earth so special? What makes our solar system so special? Our place in the Milky Way galaxy? There's so many interesting questions that both sides bring up. And not to mention
go right back to Galileo and
exactly,
beyond.
yeah. But not to mention like the technology that we use to find out these answers and things. Because trying to make a bigger, better telescope, we need to invent technology to be able to support that telescope. And things like that. So it can then help us here on Earth as well. So yeah.
Am I? I mean, I think I may be interpreting Rob's question, but it's a moral question that maybe he's asking, which is: should we not be kind of solving problems of poverty, and when they're 2/3 of the world's people who are not eating, should we not try and solve those problems rather than head off into space and try and find something else there? I mean, was there something?
No, that's not what he was asking. He was talking about going into deep space as opposed to researching something a bit more close to home, given the amount of time that it's going to take, time and resources. So you put words in.
I put words in Rob's mouth and I removed them instantly.
But it is true, though. Focusing on those things is important as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, go on.
But you've sort of answered John Bound's question, which was, what is the likelihood of life on another planet? Peter Jewell asked an interesting one. He said the planets of the solar system are always illustrated as being on the same horizontal plane. Are they actually like this, or is it simply for artistic convenience because they're actually all sorts of angles?
That's really interesting, actually, isn't it?
That is a brilliant question. Yeah. So, and in fact, yes. So, let me go and have a look. See if I have. Hold on. Do I have? I have a solar system behind me. Here we go. So, yeah, images like this are they're done for artistic sort of simplicity. Makes it a little bit easier, but it is also the truth as well. All the planets orbit in the same plane. There's a little bit of wiggle room in there, so they're not quite exactly like
symmetrical.
Yeah, sort of thing. They're all in the same place. Some of them are at slightly different angles and things like that. But yeah, they are all in the same plane. And it's all to do with the formation of the parent star of that solar system. So when the star is formed from a big cloud of gas and dust, as it collapses, it gets smaller and smaller, hotter and hotter. It also starts to spin. Eventually, it gets to the point where the star ignites. There's leftover stuff that doesn't make that star, makes the planets, but it's all rotating, all going around the star in the same way. And then eventually, over millions, billions of years, the planets come together. So you get the gas giants, rocky planets, comets, asteroids, whatever else you can find in the solar system. So.
Wow.
What an
Very
answer.
interesting. Fantastic. And actually, you answered his supplementary question as well, which was if they're all on the same plane, why? So well done. That was very good. Hang on a second. And Lyndon wanted to add to Peter's question, how do we know if our solar system is the right way up? Is it possible that we're viewing it upside down?
So that's a very interesting question as well. These are all brilliant questions. I love them all.
They are, aren't they? They really are.
So, yeah, with respect to us, it's all down really to how we observe the universe and how we observe the galaxy. So with our North Pole, so if I bring up our galaxy again, so everything is kind of in relation to us. So our up tends to be where our North Pole points, which is kind of that way, upwards,
Right.
funnily enough. But like for an alien civilization, because these planets and stars can be anywhere and in any orientation, our up could be an alien civilization down, exactly, or sideways or frontways, whichever way you want to think of. So, yeah, it's just for kind of our understanding, basically, that we're all on the same place, that we all agree that that's up and that's down kind of thing.
Yeah. That's a good answer. It depends from where you look, actually.
Exactly,
is the answer. Sue?
Great. Stuart McCready says, what type of galaxy is the most common in the universe?
That is a brilliant... I'm going to say all these brilliant questions. They're all brilliant questions. I love the questions.
They really are, aren't they?
Yeah. And actually, I didn't know the answer to this one. I actually had to look it up myself. I actually didn't know. And it turns out the most common type of galaxy is an elliptical galaxy. So we in a Milky Way, we're in a spiral galaxy. It doesn't look quite spiral behind me, but there are many, many different types of galaxies. There's a spiral galaxy, for example, there behind me. We then have a barred spiral, so it's a different type of spiral.
Wow.
And then there's an elliptical. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of an elliptical galaxy. But these galaxies, there's three main types. Spiral and barred spiral, we know, are formed from smaller galaxies, as far as we can tell. And elliptical galaxies are formed from the big spirals all coming together. So, yeah.
Wow. So that sort of links in with Claire's question, who says, where can we find our solar system in the Milky Way?
I love this.
Can you point it out to us?
So, the Milky Way, in fact, I can give you our postal address. It might be a bit easier.
Good answer, Ben.
Essentially, it's normal up until sort of like the UK or the country where you are. And then you have to follow it with Earth, the solar system, Oort cloud, local fluff, local bubble, Orion arm, Milky Way galaxy, local group. It's a very long address. Here we go. Cool. And then we've got the Virgo supercluster. And then, trying to find it here. I've got it written down because it's so long. So yes, local group, Virgo supercluster, Lanaka supercluster, universe. And that's our universal postal address.
Well, we'll know where to find it next time we look.
Oh, yes.
Sue?
I'm just trying to quickly... Another couple, I think. Got several, but I'm going to have to pick out a couple, I think.
Oh, no, yeah, that's fine.
Logic reasons that everything has a beginning and an end. So how do we describe infinity?
Ooh. That's a difficult
biggie.
one. Yeah. So infinity is it actually comes from our logic, believe it or not. And it's more of a concept than a physical thing, although there are some physical things that are out there. But it's more mathematical. That's mainly where it is.
Yes.
And it's interesting because when we try to describe things using mathematics, like black holes, for example, our mathematical understanding only goes to a certain point. After that point, things break down. So in the very center of a black hole, essentially it goes down to a point smaller than you could even think of I mean, like, what's the smallest thing you can think of?
Yes,
Off the
infinitesimal.
top.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
usually the children like atoms and
Yes.
subatomic particles and things like that. The smallest physical distance that we can measure is called a Planck length, and it's times 10 to the minus 34 of a meter. That's the smallest thing we can measure. It's even smaller than that, this singularity at the very center of a black hole. And it is infinitesimally small. All the stuff that was this once star, or whatever was around the star, is crushed to this point where the density of it, so the mass divided by the volume, is just infinite, essentially, at this small point, because the volume is just so infinitesimally small. And it just melts your head to even think about it.
Yes, you can't. You can get
So,
to
yes.
a point and then you can't do it.
It's infinity is a really, really interesting thing. Very, very interesting. So, yeah.
We're going to be answering questions on this afterwards, aren't we?
Infinity and beyond,
Oh, yes.
I think, actually. I think a last question because we've
One
got to
last
finish.
question. And I think we should leave this question with Margaret's 5-year-old grandson who loves anything to do with planets. And he would like to know, what is the largest exoplanet called, please?
Another one that I didn't know, actually. And I had to
I
find
don't
it
even know
out.
what an exoplanet is.
what
And
is
he's
an
5.
exoplanet?
I
An
feel
exoplanet.
deeply embarrassed.
Planet, as we know, like Earth and things like that. Exo meaning outside of. So it's outside of our solar system. So it's one of these planets orbiting
Thank you,
around all the
Margaret's
stars.
grandson.
Very good question. And the widest known exoplanet that we know has the name of HAT-P67b. It's a very catchy name.
Catchy.
It just rolls
That's
off the
catchy.
tongue. It does.
Hat
And
6P10.
yes.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking the name of my next grandchild. That I don't know. I'm going to suggest it.
but yeah, it's a gas giant because it's so large. It's a gas giant, and in fact, it's twice as big as Jupiter.
Wow.
And it orbits so close to its star that 1 year on this planet is actually 5 Earth days. So every 5 days,
goodness.
there is a year on that planet.
Wow.
That's massive.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What a good question to end on.
Yes. There was one other. My sister asked,
Oh, yes. Where can we
"Where can you
see
see
shooting
stars the best?"
Right. So shooting stars, or meteorites, meteors, they are, well, you can see them any time of the year. They're debris left over from comets that actually come to the inner solar system and break up. And then the Earth passes through whatever's left over from those comets. There are meteor showers all year round. There are annual meteor showers. Some of the best are Geminids, Perseids, I do believe. So there's quite a few that are around. So
But where?
have a quick look. Anywhere, literally anywhere. You can be anywhere on Earth and you can see them.
So light pollution being what it is, you need to go somewhere dark, don't you?
It would be better in a place that's dark, yes, definitely. But some of them do shine so brightly because they're coming through the atmosphere faster than a speeding bullet, and they're vaporizing. And so you get a brilliant flash of light, but they are for a fraction of a second.
Didn't you take a picture of one?
I did, yes. I did manage to get a picture of one, yes. Hopefully,
you haven't
we
seen
can
that
put it
one
up
today.
full on screen, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll
Okay.
in
Put
a
it up. Put it up in a minute. Look, Ben, we could go.
Well,
this is.
we have barely
what a-
scratched the surface.
I think we'll have to do another one of these, won't we?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Space 2. It'll be
Yes.
Ben Casey, Space 2.
This
time
time.
he's back and he wants revenge. Right.
Definitely.
Ben,
I could talk for hours.
what a delight! And I have to say about you that everybody, Ben is the sweetest soul that you could hope to meet, and such a lovely man. He's a boy as far as I'm concerned because he's 20 whatever. What are you? 26?
25.
25, a lad, but knows so much about stuff. But also, it's just got a lovely, lovely heart about him. And we're thrilled that he's involved, aren't we, Sue?
We are.
And we're going to welcome all the tech team when we can back down to our home. We've had our
Vaccinations.
vaccinations today. They ran at us with a sharp needle, and I tell you, there wasn't enough space for me to run away. So, right, Ben, it's
Bless
been
you, Ben.
a
Thank
total
you.
delight.
No worries.
ever.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing all that research and all those pictures and everything else.
Thank
People
you,
are going to be
everyone,
delighted.
for your questions. Really appreciate you getting involved. That was really lovely of you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.